10-Minute Murder contains depictions of actual crimes. What you are about to hear is real and violent in nature. Discretion is advised. This is 10-Minute Murder.
Hello and welcome to the brief and bingeable true crime podcast, 10-Minute Murder. I'm Joe, and thanks for being here. If you're brand new to this podcast, make sure you are subscribed so that you don't miss any episodes in the future. You can also connect with 10-Minute Murder on social media. I'll leave links in the show notes of this episode. And when you follow this podcast on social media, you'll get updates of when I'm posting new episodes, and plus you'll see visuals that go along with the episodes that you hear about here. Nothing gross or graphic, but it gives you a visual to see what we're talking about. Sometimes that's easier. In today's story, Ashley Wallace was 19 years old when she woke up in the hospital on September 14th, 2007, after being poisoned and almost dying. Misfortune seemed to follow the young woman. When Ashley was just 11, her father, Michael Wallace, died of a suspected heart attack. Just 5 years later, her stepfather, David Castor, took his own life. And now she herself has just been 10 minutes away from dying. But what she did not yet know was that behind everything was her own mother, Stacey Castor, the Black Widow. Stacey Ruth Castor was born on July 24, 1967 in Clay, New York. She met her first husband, Michael Wallace, when she was just 17 years old. The two got along very well, and Stacey felt like she had found the one. She told everybody around her town how she was in love and that Michael was larger than life. 3 years later, in 1988, the couple was married and had their first daughter, Ashley. Her little sister, Bree, was born in 1991. Stacey worked as an ambulance dispatcher, while Wallace worked nights as a mechanic, so their schedules were really different. In addition, Michael's struggles with drugs and alcohol brought issues into the relationship. According to Stacey, Michael also had a habit of favoring Bree and being really close with her. This made Stacey being very close with Ashley. While being tight with their children, Stacey and Michael themselves started to grow apart, and it was not really a secret that both of them had side pieces outside their marriage. That's what the kids call having an affair. Stacey admitted that she had been thinking of divorce. Then Michael got very, very sick in the winter of 1999. He was swollen, unsteady, and was coughing a lot. One doctor noted that he could have been having problems with his inner ear. But when weeks passed and Michael did not feel any better, his family requested him to seek more help, but it was too late already. Michael was found unresponsive on the sofa in the family home in early 2000 and was later pronounced dead at the hospital. At the time, the only person with him at home was 11-year-old Ashley, who grew up thinking her father's death was her fault. She had noticed Michael looking incredibly ill that day, but didn't think too much of it. However, doctors told Stacey that Michael died of a heart attack, so it wasn't anyone's fault, right? So Michael was buried without an autopsy, despite his sister's objections. And they should have listened. Stacey got back on her own 2 feet quite fast. She met husband number 2, David Castor, through her boss in 2001. The two got married in 2003, and Stacey took his last name. According to her, David was very work-driven, very into the outdoors, and he was support and strength and security to her. However, while Stacey may have been happy with her new marriage, her children definitely were not. Ashley and Bree didn't want to have their father replaced. However, this replacement did not last long. On August 22, 2005, at 2 p.m., Stacey contacted Onondaga County Emergency Response, saying that her husband had not shown up for work. Stacey and David had both worked at this air conditioning installation and repair company. Stacey claimed that she had last spoken to David at 5 a.m. Sunday when he locked himself in the bedroom after a fight. According to Stacey, David got upset, took a bottle of Southern Comfort, went into the bedroom and locked himself in, and reportedly got drunk and wouldn't come out. She thought he would just sleep it off, but now, as he didn't show up for work and was not responding to his cell phone, she became worried. Eventually, police officers showed up at the family home. Stacey immediately asked them to break down the bedroom door. The police did not get any response through the door when they shouted, so they kicked it in. Behind, they found David stretched out on their bed with large amounts of vomit on the mattress and floor. He was very clearly dead, even though Stacey kept screaming, "He is not dead. He is not dead." A glass of green liquid was on the nightstand, and a container of antifreeze was found sticking out from under the bed with its top off. Stacey quickly explained how they had been having problems with David for about a month now, and he was depressed. David had lost his father recently, more than enough reason to commit suicide, according to her. And so, the coroner ruled his death as suicide through a self-administered lethal dose of antifreeze. And poor Stacey having such bad luck with husbands. Or was it the other way around? Stacey didn't know, but the investigators actually suspected David's death was not a suicide from the start. But they had to be able to prove their case. It was pretty suspicious that Stacey's fingerprints were found on the glass on the nightstand that contained the antifreeze. Just Stacey's, not David's. When police searched the kitchen, they found a turkey baster smelling of alcohol disposed in the trash can. As the baster had David's DNA on its tip, but nowhere else, investigators believe Stacey used it to force-feed him. There also wasn't any vomit on the antifreeze container in the bedroom, even though the whole carpet around it was coated in vomit. So it seemed like it had been put there after David's death. Also, police found David's will, where he left everything to his wife and 2 daughters, and nothing to his son. Investigators didn't have to think about it for too long. Something fishy was definitely going on. The detectives on the case placed cameras at the local cemetery where both David and Stacey's first husband, Michael, were buried. She had buried them next to each other. Detectives also ordered wiretappings on Stacey's house so that they could listen to phone calls for any unusual conversations. The cameras were there to see if Stacey had any genuine feelings toward her late husbands. Investigators wanted to see if Stacey visited the graves and showed any kind of grief while there. It's probably not a surprise to you at this point, but Stacey didn't show up to the cemetery. Not even once. At this point, it was suspected that Stacey had murdered her first husband, Michael, too, but there had been no autopsy performed on the body, so there was no evidence. There was just one option: dig up Michael's body. The judge gave his permission, and on September 5th, 2007, Michael's body was exhumed. And what did they find? Crystals. Lots and lots of crystals. The body produces these kind of crystals after ingesting antifreeze, and they don't disappear, not even after years. Stacey was brought in for questioning, and when the interviewer asked, "Do you remember which glass it was that you poured the cranberry juice in?" Stacey answered, "Well, when I poured the antifreeze, I mean the cranberry juice." Stacey's slip told them everything they suspected. But that wasn't enough yet. Of course not. On September 13th, 2007, Stacey called 911 saying that her daughter Ashley was unconscious in her bed and would not wake up. Her younger sister Bree had found her, and there was also a suicide note. In the letter, Ashley confessed that she had murdered her father Michael and her mother's second husband David. In reality, Stacey tried to frame her own daughter for the murders that she had committed. She had written the note on the family computer and given Ashley an alcohol drink mixed with high amounts of painkillers. Then Stacey just waited for her to die. But she didn't. Ashley woke up at the hospital and was questioned by the police about the suicide note and the murders. She immediately denied writing the letter or knowing anything about the deaths of Michael and David. Evidence was later found in the family computer proving Ashley could not have been the one to write the note. Finally, Stacey was arrested. With all the previous evidence and the fact that Stacey attempted to frame and kill her daughter, the case against her was ready for the court. Her trial started on January 12, 2009. The press quickly dubbed Stacey as another Black Widow killer. On February 5, 2009, Stacey was convicted of second-degree murder of David Castor and attempted murder of her daughter and forging David Castor's will. She was later sentenced to just over 51 years in prison. Stacey has adamantly maintained her innocence, even saying in an interview how in disbelief she was when she was found guilty. Quote, "I did not kill Michael Wallace. I did not kill David Castor, and I did not try to kill my daughter, period. And I will never say that I did, ever." And she never did. Stacey Castor was found dead in her prison cell on the morning of June 11, 2016, at just 48 years old. Her death was ruled as a heart attack, with no signs of foul play. That's today's 10-Minute Murder, the brief and bingeable true crime podcast. Thanks for listening today, and if you have a story that you'd like for me to possibly cover on 10-Minute Murder, you can email it to me, 10minutemurder@gmail.com, or if it's easier for you and you follow me on social media, you can send me a direct message and let me know about what story you'd like for me to possibly look into covering. And if you don't follow me on social media, what the heck? Fix it. If you've got friends that are into brief true crime stories like this one, let them know about 10-Minute Murder. Rate and review the podcast 5 stars if that's available where you listen. And of course, if you are not currently subscribed to this podcast, I really hope that you do subscribe to this podcast. Thanks for listening to 10-Minute Murder. Have a good night.